All right. All right, Team Thrive. It's today the 29th. I think it is. Yeah. Like one more day of the month. That's crazy. I can't believe we're already talking about October, honestly, because I feel like it was just summer and we were still having summer break. And then all of a sudden it's October. So tonight's team call is going to be super special. This is the first one we've done like this. So I'm really excited that my dear friend Lauren is on the call. I am going to mute you crazies, just so you know, and don't get offended. You can unmute yourself, Lauren, so it's kind of fun to have two Laurens. Really quickly, Lauren and I have been coaches almost around the same amount of time. I think I've been a coach 6 months more, but Lauren hit the ground like crazy. Like I met her after I'd been a coach for 1.5 years and heard about this crazy lady who had just become a coach and like hit elite and did all these crazy things, not even in a year. And she's pushing a baby stroller. And I was like, oh my gosh, you did all this with a baby? That's insane. And really didn't get to know her very well then. Fast forward another year, we're sitting at leadership, getting our toes done next to each other, just spilling our guts to one another and finding out that we're very similar. We have a lot of the same passions. We were just kind of in the same place and became fast friends and have kept in touch with each other, encouraged one another, kind of held each other accountable, listened to each other grow as leaders, and kind of commiserated and bounced ideas off of one another. She's on our team page. I'm on her team page. You guys, we find people like that within this business. It's not just you sign up and you're all alone. You find people on other teams on our own team and you become friends with them and you become accountability partners and you find something in someone else that just clicks with you. And it's just funny that our names are both Lauren. It's kind of funny. But anyway, Lauren and I had the opportunity to speak at a Super Saturday event this past spring. And I can honestly say I didn't know her story. I knew snippets. I knew just a little bit about her as a mom and a wife and that her husband used to play professional baseball, and that's so awesome. But I didn't get, like, the backstory. I didn't understand how she came to coaching and what that looked like for her. And I just remember sitting there, like, I was next, right? I'm supposed to speak next. I'm trying to go over what I want to say and bawling. And we just got our makeup done, and I was like, oh, my gosh, I had no idea. This story is incredible. And just it showed me so many things, but we all have a journey and we all have a story, and what you think is really hard for you, you have no idea what someone else is going through. And if you feel like you're in this for a purpose and for a reason, you are. And I wanted Lauren to come here to kind of, she leads an incredible team of her own, and I wanted her to come here and kind of share her story, but also share her passion and share a few like leader tips with you guys. So I'm not going to go over this month's specials or remind you that you have one more day to hit Success Club, even though I just did. I'm going to just give the floor to Lauren and take notes. She's a great teacher. She's a great encourager. You might find something about her story that really resonates with you, and I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let you go. So, I'm going to unmute you. You did it. Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored, as always, to speak to you guys and share my story. I did want to ask you, Lauren, do you want me to share like a little bit of where I was when I started coaching, or do you want me to just go straight to the part where things went that way? You're muted. Mute.
I just kind of wanted you to give a little bit of backstory. I mean, yes, you set your house on fire and all that. I know, teaser. Right. But you share as much as you want.
Okay.
How about that's a really crappy answer?
Okay. No, that's perfect. Okay. All right. So you guys, basically, Lauren gave you a lot of little bits about me. I signed up in February of 2013, and the small backstory short version of how I became a coach is that I was a professional cheerleader for the NFL, and I had my son, and my body kind of changed and things, I followed my husband around for baseball, and in that time I felt like I wanted to get in shape. short story, I got Insanity. I did really great with it. I got great results. I started doing fitness competitions and I won. And I didn't know that being a coach was an option because at the time, I think it had just become like a thing. I think it was 2008 or maybe 2009. So I really wasn't familiar with it. My husband played with Brandy Bott's husband and we met each other, and she was not a coach yet, but we both found out that we liked Beachbody programs and we did things. We met. She became a coach about a year after I met her, and I was one of the first people she called, and I didn't want anything to do with it. I was like, no, it's not my thing. I had the same hesitations that everybody else usually has when they sign up. That's a pyramid scheme. That's too expensive. I'm not paying for that. All of those things. Plus, I had just had a miscarriage, and I really wasn't in the right mindset, and I knew I wanted to get pregnant again. Just wasn't my right timing. So that was kind of that. And fast forward to December of that following year of 2012, I had my daughter. And a couple of weeks later, I was suffering from really bad postpartum depression. And I was cooking in the kitchen, and you know, like how it is if you guys have kids and you're a busy mom and the baby's screaming. My 6-year-old, or my how old was Quinn at the time? I don't know, 5. He was like having a meltdown, and I had dinner on the stove. I hadn't actually put anything in the pan yet. Next thing I know, the smoke alarms are going off. I'm calling 911, and my house caught on fire. My entire kitchen went up in flames. There was smoke like billowing across the ceiling by the time I saw it, and there was really nothing I could do. Fortunately, the house did not burn to the ground, but the entire house was covered in soot, and the smoke damage forced us to become homeless for about 3 to 4 months while ServPro and our church team and everybody else worked to basically rebuild our house. And during that time, I was living on couches, and my husband was working multiple jobs to try and keep us afloat. We were borrowing money from my parents in exchange for doing things like cleaning houses and, you know, chores around the house. I was just really miserable. I was lost. I felt horrible about myself. Just not a good time. And the part I didn't mention was that whole previous year when I was pregnant, Brandy had messaged me every single month or invited me to something every single month, to the point that I think I actually even unfollowed her at one point, because I was like, who is this? Like, what is she doing? I'm not doing this. But then I ended up like being more curious about what she was doing. But she reached out to me in February. It was like February 2nd, I think. And it was literally a God thing. And I believe this 100% because it was that day I was at church, and I came home. My husband was away, and I hit my knees and I prayed, and I was like, I don't know where I am in life right now. I don't know if this is rock bottom, but I feel like it can't get much worse. I know there's a lesson in this, but I just need you to point me in the right direction and tell me what I'm supposed to do to help us crawl out of this hole. Well, it got worse because we also found out that I was being sued by the insurance company for the fire, and I was found negligent, and I did have to pay for the damages that were caused to that were made to our home. We did negotiate, but it's still a huge chunk of change, and I was responsible for that. So literally 2 hours after I said that prayer, Brandy messaged me, and she was like, hey, it's probably not the best time for you right now, but I was thinking about you, and blah, 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 blah. Here's the spiel. I think you should do the ultimate reset. And would you do it with me? And you might as well become a coach at the same time. What do you think about that? And I was like, okay, I get it. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is 12 months in a row now, to the day that she signed up, that she had asked me to be a coach. And I knew that this was the right direction for us and for our life. So I really just wanted to do it for me, but also do it for the financial purposes. So I took about 2 weeks, and I really spent every moment that I could learning everything I could about the business, following leaders immediately, learning anything and everything that I could, listening to back national wake-up calls, everything. I just dove in any second I could. I was that mom that was working over my computer with my baby after she fell asleep from nursing. But yeah, I hit the ground running. Brandy helped me set goals, and my first one was Success Club 5, and I think I had 0 points on the 26th. And on the 28th at like 11:59 p.m., I got my 5th, and I was like, okay. And then Brandy had put me on her cup team, and I watched her get like 30 some Success Club points. And I was like, you want me on your team? I can barely get 5. Like, that's crazy. And she just encouraged me and pushed me and showed me that she believed in me. And that next month I think I hit Success Club with like 36 points or something. And it just kind of stayed that way. I never really slowed down that first year. And it seemed like that first year was really pretty, I don't want to say easy, because it definitely was not. I remember one of the defining moments was I always seem to be that girl that missed everything by one day. Like the qualifications for, the Star Diamond party at Summit, I missed it by like a day. And then I missed the qualifications for leadership by like a day. But Brandy always brought me to all those parties when we had that privilege, so I could see what was possible. And I really wanted that for myself and for my team. And I just really was inspired by all of the things that I saw and all of the events that I went to and the things that I did, and I wanted to do it. So I didn't even know what Elite was until August, right after I came home from Summit. They started talking to me a little bit about Elite, and I had a lot of points. I just didn't have the Star Diamonds for that. And I ended up getting all of my stars, but in November, 2 weeks before the qualification, I lost every single one of them. And I was just like, how in the heck am I going to get 5 stars back in 2 weeks? Like, it's not possible. But I remember spending hours and hours and hours working towards that. And we ended up hitting it again at 11:57 p.m. the night of qualification. And it was just like unbearable trying to do that 6 weeks just to make sure everybody held. And I ended up hitting it, which was great. And my girls ended up holding it together. And I feel like those first January, February, and March of that following year were really great. And we were on this roller coaster. And it was, we were at that high point. And as you guys know, certain things start to slow down. If you're in this business, you just have those moments where times of year get the best of you and things can slow down if your mindset is not right. And that's exactly what happened to me, is that things became a little bit more difficult for me because I think I took for granted how, I don't want to say it was easy because it wasn't, but things were definitely a little bit less hard for me my first year, and I started to have to work a little bit harder for those Success Club points. And I had a month where I barely hit Success Club 10, and that for me was just horrible. And I started to have all of these self-doubts, and I watched people who signed up much later than me in the business just start skyrocketing to success and past me. And to be honest, the jealousy and the bitterness started to set in. I started to compare myself. It was all of these things, like guilt and just a lot of things that really, it bogged me down, and it had me second guessing what was working for me the year before. And I jumped into this, like I was chasing perfect. I was chasing what everybody else was doing, and I wanted to be them instead of just being me, and just allowing, myself to stay true to who I am and to follow the path that God had laid out for me. And to be honest, I had become so far away from my faith, the furthest I had ever been. And instead of running towards God, I ran away. And I think this was part of that process that was humbling me to bring me back. And I feel like when I asked him for what that lesson was, this is when I figured it out. This was the lesson. We were uprooted from our family and our friends and everything we knew, and we were moved to Texas where we knew no one. And we got here, and it was like flashing signs for the first 72 hours. You need to go to this church. And every single person we met told us to go there. I know that's not really what we're here to talk about, but I feel like this is a huge part of it, was that I was brought here so that I could tear myself apart so that he could build me back up and show me who the true me is. And I know who that is now. But with jealousy and bitterness and comparison, it was just one of those things that I distanced myself from coaches. I unfollowed a lot of people because every Thursday I would see those rank advancements and I would just be like, what the heck? Like, I'm super happy for you, but what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not doing that? And it was just, it got me, I was so jealous. And what I realized is that when I wanted what everybody else has, I was truly blinded by what was right in front of me. And, you know, most often what we're looking for is right in front of our face. But, you know, jealousy totally robbed me of that and didn't allow me to see it. It was, you know, just, I was constantly comparing myself, and it ended up forcing me to spin myself in circles. And I ended up missing everything that I was actually looking for. So then I started turning away from the jealousy, and it became the blame. And it was like, okay, well, my coaches don't want this. And, you know, why aren't they doing things the way that I want them to? And, you know, or why don't they see this? Or it was, well, I was finding excuses for why I couldn't hit the same numbers in Success Club, or why I couldn't do certain things, and why I was saying, oh, well, I don't have the time for that. Well, the truth is I did have the time. It's just that it wasn't my priority. I didn't make it a priority for myself. And a lot of this stuff was, I was focusing on the wrong things. And I didn't get it, but that's where my head got stuck. And then I got stuck in that, you know, always feeling like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't good enough leader, felt like I wasn't a good enough mom, wife, Christian friend, all of those things. And it really just started to tear me apart inside. And I felt like I wasn't living up to the expectations that I had, you know, set for myself my first year, and also that were being set for me again because I had such a great first year, what corporate I felt wanted from me. And that pressure really got to me. I felt like I could be making better money than what I was. I felt like, you know, if I didn't hit my goals, then, you know, it wasn't good enough. Even though my income was growing and my team was growing and, you know, things were getting better, I still picked myself apart in every aspect of my life. And it got me nowhere. You know, it had me once again right back where I started, feeling like, who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Like, somebody asked me, what are your creative talents and gifts? And I honestly I didn't know the answer. I couldn't answer them. And that was when everything in my life started to change, because I started to realize that I had self-imposed limitations that I had set on my, you know, I set them. That's just what it was, stuck in me, and I had disbelief in myself. I can't tell you how many times that I felt like I just accepted defeat without even trying. I was just like, okay, well, whatever, that's not going to happen. And, you know, Lauren can probably remember where I was just like, well, it is what it is. And it's just, if I'm going to fall out, I'm going to fall out. I'm not going to do anything about it. And it was terrible. It was not the right mentality. So, you know, I found that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Like, we are the people, it was personal development that really brought me back to getting myself on the right path. And I found that, like, we are the ones who define our own strengths and weaknesses. We are the ones that are responsible for inspiring ourselves. That, you know, if we focus on the negative things in life, then those things are going to become true. So it's better to focus on the things that are possible and to leave the negativity out of it, and to, you know, dive in and create a sense of community within the other leaders and the coaches, and not allow that jealousy and bitterness and comparison and self-doubt and all of those things to get in the way. I was constantly having little chats with myself when I was around people, you know, feeling I was the one that was creating these problems. So it wasn't them. They were not even thinking those things, but it was me that was allowing myself to think them. So, you know, we kind of create these little identity boxes for ourselves, and we don't allow ourselves to be stretched outside of those limitations, and we don't allow ourselves to be challenged. And most of the time it's because we're afraid of fear or rejection, humiliation, judgment, failure, all of those things. But, you know, I had to just allow myself to take that leap of faith. And a lot of times I wasn't letting myself do that because here's an example, like in coaching, I would feel like, oh, well, I can't teach that to my team because I haven't learned enough about that topic yet. Or, I don't have my videos perfect. It doesn't look great. The lighting's not good enough. Oh, I don't have templates, so I can't run that group. Or, it's just, I always felt like I was stuck waiting for the perfect right time to do things, and the perfect right time to be a leader, or the perfect right time to run that challenge group or to do those things. And I was finding myself always waiting, and then the time passed and I was missing it, just like I said before. So, I feel like we just have to take that leap, and taking that leap is, the act of taking a risk that's going to propel us from one place to another. And that's ultimately what happened in my business, was that I was holding myself back. And as soon as I allowed myself just to jump in and say, what the heck do I have to lose? I'm going to fail. Failure is a part of my life, and that, it's going to propel me forward. I think what was the book? Is it Failing Forward? I think is one of the books that I read. I think, is it a John Maxwell book? I don't remember. Maybe Lauren, you can remind me, but I think that's what it was called, is Failing Forward. And that was one that really helped me. And it was like, okay, what am I waiting for? Let me just do it. So, I also felt like my mom said this to me, and she was like, maybe all these challenges are really meant for the good. And maybe this challenging time and season of slow growth is really just something that was preparing me for something better, something bigger than I could have ever imagined, something that I didn't even really dream was possible. And, she said, when you're down to nothing, God's up to something. And she's totally right. And, I still had that guilt, because I was diving in so much that I was setting aside a lot of other priorities in my life. I had that mom guilt, like I wasn't spending enough time with my kids or my family, and that I couldn't shut my brain off from thinking about this business. And, I had to learn how I had to do personal development and literally learn how to reorganize my life and allow myself to have unplugged time, and to allow myself to learn that my business is not going to fall apart if I leave my phone in the car while I do something with my family, or turn it on airplane mode so that I'm not disturbed, so that it can truly be present in my family. After all, that is the real reason why most of us start this business, is so that we can have that freedom. But if you're not really living that freedom, then it's for nothing. But I will tell you that I put in 2 years of good, solid, hard work to be able to do just that. But as starting off as a new coach, if, I think I had focused on learning how to organize my time better and working more, not so much doing busy work, but doing more purposeful work and working purposefully, and spending my time doing things that actually had purpose and meaning behind them, than just always feeling like I was busy doing something, then I would have probably been in a much better spot. So I hope that that is something that you guys really keep in mind, is that busy is not always better, and that it's all about the productivity that you do and that you use, and the purposeful work that you put into that small time that you have. So if you only have 30 minutes a day, make sure that that work that you're doing is actually leading you to something, and that is actually something that's going to move you forward in your business today. The other things that aren't can wait. So, that's one of the things. I could go off on a whole tangent about that, and I'm losing my track. But, I just feel like one of the other things that helped me come out of this was allowing myself to open up to my coaches, by allowing myself to tell them where I was, and also sharing this on social media, because I feel like your story is so important. And all of a sudden, my first year, and even a little bit of that second year, had painted this picture of everything's so great. She's in the top 25 of the company, and, she's elite, and she's making X amount of money, and she's doing this. And then all of a sudden, it's like I fell backwards from a lot of those things. And not even that, but it was like all these great things were happening, but emotionally I was retreating. And to admit that on social media was really hard for me. And I was kind of hiding behind this wall that I had built for myself. So I had to break that wall down and allow myself to get really real and raw with people and really share the struggle. And one of the things that somebody did was I got a social media partner, and I had somebody kind of look over my account and say, what do you see? And what they saw was somebody who was perfect, somebody that was a robot, never had troubles, never had these feelings that I was feeling. And they just felt like people couldn't really relate to that because they felt like the standards that I had set for myself were unrealistic. And so I had to punch that wall down and let people know, like, hey, I'm not a robot. And guess what? I don't necessarily love to work out, but I do it every day. And, here's where I find my motivation. And this is why I do it. And here's really how I'm feeling right now about these things. And a lot of people were so connected to me at that moment, and they really felt relatable. It was inspiring to other people to realize that, if she feels that way and that happens to her, then maybe I can do this, like maybe it is something that I can work towards. So really sharing your journey is something that's super important, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you gotta build that thick skin a little bit, because everybody's going to be entitled to their opinions. But if something bugs you and it's negative, there's a little button called delete. Delete that comment. Get it out of there. You don't need to see that. And you don't need the negativity around you in your life, because it's only going to drag you down. And you got to focus on the positives. And your team Thrive is your family, and you want to retreat to them in a positive way and look for the positives and the good things that are going on in this business and ask for help, but do it in a positive way, because that is what's going to bring you back. And that is what I was missing, was that I was constantly that person that was always looking for help, but I wasn't necessarily asking for it in the most positive way. And once I started learning how to work better with my team and to be inspired by my own team, as well as a lot of other things, I really felt like things started to change, and the atmosphere of my team changed. We really bonded, and we really started working better together as a team. And we all of a sudden started to see success just in all of our businesses. So yeah, don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to bust down that wall and share. And, people are going to be inspired by you. They're going to look to you to see the hope and the potential that they could maybe have. They want to live happy, fulfilled lives too, but they want to realize that it doesn't have to be that 100% all the time perfect, because in reality, none of us are like that. None of us are perfect. And then there was, after all these things are getting better, there's still that little bit of fear that's in there when it comes to goal setting and those, big, hairy, scary things. And, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to push for those big goals because we're afraid to fail, or we don't allow ourselves to really tap into our full creativity. Like, I had all these ideas spinning around in my head and all these things I wanted to do, but I was like, man, but I don't know if I can do that. And then I'd be lying if I said I still don't compare a little bit here and there, because it's just natural. It's nature. But I would see these things like a team website or trainings and things like that. And I would want to do everything that everybody else was doing, but I had to bring myself back and say, okay, what would work for you? What would work for your team? Yeah, that's great, but I don't, that's not going to work for me. That's not going to work for us. And, I had to push myself out there and realize that, we're going to fail sometimes, and things are not always going to go the way that we hoped. And, but that I'm going to learn from that failure, and I'm going to learn how to tweak things as I go. And so now we've created a system that works for our team. And it was not perfect when we started it. It was a hot mess, but it was there. But because we had built that community and that team atmosphere together, we were able to work together to kind of say, okay, well, here's something that I might change. And we built this back together. And now it's functioning, and we're still making changes, probably weekly to it, as we see and we hear things, feedbacks and stuff like that. But, the truth is that failure is going to get you way farther than fear. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Failing is so much better than not putting yourself out there at all and just to go for it. You know, failure has the potential to guide you to something that is better, to become stronger, and something that's going to push you forward to even more and to help you be even more determined and successful than you were before. The biggest thing for me, like I said, was surrendering. And I will be honest that I brought myself back to my faith. And I realized that I have to believe that even the impossible is possible. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's totally true. And that if we surrender our fears over and, you know, we take those leaps of faith, that we can really allow ourselves to believe in the things that and the possibilities that we don't even see. So I had to get myself off that emotional roller coaster. I had to reevaluate my life. I had to stop taking everything so to heart and so personally. I had to take a good long look in the mirror and allow myself to really, you know, see the hard stuff. I had to take ownership of the hard stuff and the things that make me feel really icky inside. You know, I had to be honest with myself about them, and I had to clear away the clutter so that I could really get down to the good stuff that makes me who I am, that allows me to see my purpose, the things that really help me be me. I'm still working on that. It's a daily battle. I think it's just human for us to kind of feel that way. But, you know, most of the things that you see on my profile is really where I am. You know, I have those ups and downs moments. I was honest with everybody that I didn't work out for like an entire month unless it was like little short snippets because of the way that I was feeling. But the way that I recovered from that was that I put a positive spin on it. And I said to people, here's how I was feeling. Here's how I am feeling now. And here's how I want to feel. And here's how I'm going to get back to that. And, so yeah, it was just, gotcha. Let me see what I can, sorry. Made me lose my train of thought. But yeah, when you guys are posting, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of give you like, where do you go from here? If you guys are feeling any of this, or you can relate to anything that I'm saying, I'm going to give you like a little overview of what you can do yourself starting today to get yourself back on that positive upswing and get your business moving again, and get yourself and your mind in that right place to really be able to move forward in your life. So don't be afraid to ask for help. First of all, it's okay to ask for help. You have to decide that helping people is far more worth, you know, it's so much better to just be focusing on other people and helping other people than to worry about your own doubts that you have and what the things that they're going to be thinking. Decide that you can do this, that there are going to be those ups and downs. So really take that look for yourself in the mirror, evaluate yourself, write down all of the good things and all of the things that you're kind of feeling a little icky about, and be honest with yourself about them. And then clear away the clutter, clear away the stuff that is distracting you. If you know there's a particular someone or something that's causing you to feel really bad or negative or like a failure, then hide that away from you. I'm not saying you have to unfriend that person or something like that, but maybe you just unfollow that person's posts for a little while until you can build your own self-confidence back up. I know I did it. I know a lot of leaders that have done it, but you got to focus on yourself and focus on your coaches and your customers and your business. You want to be seeing the potential customers that you want to be working with in your newsfeed, not staring at other coaches' posts all day long. You want to stop comparing yourself, set purposeful goals when it comes to what you're doing for your business. Make lists of things that you need to do and put those purposeful activities at the top of the list every single day, those things that are going to move you forward in your business. And be encouraging to other people. I mean, that is one of the things that we're here to do. We're here to encourage and inspire other people. And that doesn't just mean our potential customers and, our already customers. That includes your team. Be involved in your team in a positive, encouraging way. Share things with them. If you find something that's working for you, then share it. If you hear a great piece of advice, share it. If you have a great success story from one of your customers or something like that, add that positive to your team and help lift other people up at the same time. And that's really going to help you guys be able to celebrate together, and it's going to make you feel good and give you that positive vibe that we're all looking for. But yeah, I mean, just really go back to basics. I know that's cliche, but it's true. Go back to basics. Get together a system that works for you. Work on your time management. And it's really just doing those simple things. Work out, drink your Shakeology, and be connecting with people. Proof that the product works, and choose to live with intention and purpose. Doesn't mean that your days are going to be perfect or that things are going to be easier, because I can't promise you that. It just means that your days are going to be more meaningful. And when things are really super stressful and those situations come, we can stay focused on the bigger picture and the one that allows us to produce change and add value to ourselves, to other people, to strengthen us in not only just our every day, but in our faith as well. And do what you can with what you have. Do it out of love and with gratitude, and live your life out loud and let it go and let God. One of my favorite scriptures, and that's how I'm going to close it out, is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and then always submit to him, and he will make your path straight. But that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. I know I took a lot of notes because our stories are similar in that my business and my why didn't happen until I decided to share me, because I had to share. People will put you up on a pedestal. They think you've got it all together, that you have it all perfect. You're working out. You must think you're better than somebody else, right? You must think, oh my gosh, I've got this down. Mm-mm. And so I even had a couple messages like Lauren had, where people thought from the outside looking in, what could possibly go wrong with this woman's life? Like, she obviously doesn't have any kind of weight loss story. Look at her. She obviously doesn't struggle with the same things I struggle with. There's nothing wrong with her kids, which I can prove that there is. And, it was all of those things. And I finally had to say, okay, I'm done. Because, I think I'm being positive. It was this unattainable thing. I couldn't even live up to this standard. And it was sharing my eating disorder, my, self-deprecating behavior, the doubts and fears that I have. And people are like, oh, she's messed up. Oh, I can relate with that. Dude, I'm on that. If she can do it, heck, I can do it. And so when you admit that you don't have it all, that you're not all that, people are like, all right, I kind of think you're cool because you're kind of messed up. And in a good way, because you're also showing what's possible. And so I get that. And I like seeing that we have bad hair days, because preach. We live in freaking Florida, and I just sat out at soccer, and I was like, well, I have a team call. Chris goes, okay. And I was like, here I go. Because this is what happens. And you own it. And then people go, I like how real you are. And you're like, okay, it's really not what I'm trying to do. It's just life. Okay, I'm trying to get through it. And it's funny because they go, you're so real and raw. And I'm like, I'm just tired of the bananas. Like, tired of trying to sugarcoat this crap. And anyway, so I have a lot of notes. I'll share them on our team page of just, kind of the things that I love about mindset. Here we are ending what's probably known as one of the slowest months of the year. Why? I don't know. Why do we call it that? Why don't we call it the best month of the year? Why don't we change that? Why don't we say I'm going to go for it like I do every other month? It's slow because of other people, because we decide it's going to be slow, because we limit ourselves in how many times we reach out, because somebody said it was a slow month. So it must be. I'm just going to go ahead and go with that. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't believe it. I'm not going to receive that junk. And I'm going to keep going on and leading this team like every month is Christmas. And every month is, oh my gosh, it's bikini season or whatever. I can be really stereotypical right now, but you know what I'm saying? Every month is a new month. Every month is awesome. You get a fresh start in 2 days. If you're not at Success Club, why? Why haven't you reached out? I don't understand. It boggles my mind. I know it's 9:10 and we were supposed to finish 10 minutes ago, and I don't care. If you need to get off, this still records. So, just saying. Lauren's like, oh my gosh, you're insane. Yes. We have one more day. We have one more day of the PIO Challenge Pack. If you're going to share that, great. Why don't you share you? Why don't you reach out to someone who said, wow, I really like, a little bit of help. Why don't you have a conversation like that? Why don't you eat those dang frogs of those people who you've been waiting to reach out to? Why not? I mean, why not? And I'm vegan, and I still eat frogs every day. And so, you see what I'm saying? Like, there are no excuses. And I'm being silly, I know. But if you're not there, why aren't you there? Why aren't you achieving just those benchmarks in your business? And then we get to start over in October, and no, I don't know what the challenge packs are because you never know until the 30th of the month or the 31st of the month and the evening. So if you're waiting, keep waiting because I don't know either. All right. I want you to find the joy. I want you to start this month, like Lauren said, finding the joy, counting your blessings, seeing that why, seeing that thing that you want to achieve, that message you want to share with people. Own that every day. Someone told me find 5 things. If someone can come to your page and find 5 things about you, that's great. If they don't see those layers, what can I say about each of you if I go to your page? Family, fitness, faith. What are the last 2? What is it? Why would I want to come to your page? What makes me relate with you? Think about those things and share those things daily. If you love food, if you love fashion, own it. You're going to reach other people who like those same things. And be repetitive. Consistency is key. Keep doing those things over and over and over and over. People are going to come to you when they think, oh man, where did I see that wreath idea? Leslie had a cute wreath idea. Yeah, I'm going to go to her page. What's she doing working out? Oh, I need to go. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm blabbering. Okay, really quickly. And this purple sock to be an encourager. I did the same thing Lauren did, and I unfollowed people, and I still do it to this day. My newsfeed was junk because Facebook decided who I should see, and I didn't agree with them. So I just clear people out every day. Bye-bye. Nothing offensive to any of you. If I don't see your posts, it's because I can interact with you guys somewhere else on our team page. But I have goals to reach new people. And you guys need to think that same way. Yes, you want to fill your newsfeed with positivity. If there are people in your newsfeed who are cussing, who are vulgar, who are bringing you down, bye-bye. Exit stage left. You do not need to see that crap. You do not need to fill your mind with it every day because you have a mission to bring encouragement and positivity and happiness. Oh, someone found TrueMove for me. Yes. Okay, you know that stuff sells at like that? My kids have like made a TrueMove. Yes. Okay. So, anyway, this is a random call. I love this call. You need to get rid of them, Rachel. You need to like unfollow them and click that button on your newsfeed that says bye-bye. That's what you need to do. Bye-bye. And who cares? Who cares? You see what you need to see. All right, so anyway, I wanted to thank Lauren for taking time out of her evening, and all of you guys. I love seeing your faces. I love seeing your smiles. I just love this team. I want you guys to get more of your team on here. I know this is a new thing that we're doing, and it's kind of choppy, and I know this is our first time to be like, is this a team call night? Is this a Thrive call night? I'm confused. We will get it, I promise. We will get this down. Just know that I will lead the first call of the month, and we will have a speaker the last call of the last week of the month. Everything else, you are working on your teams, working on personal development. Your Best Yes is a great book. Changed my life. Your Best Yes, or The Best Yes, excuse me. And then, excuse me for my language, but You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. Awesome. Awesome. And I didn't like the title, but I really like how raw she is in there, just to remind you that you are created uniquely, purposefully, and you have a divine, passionate purpose in this world. Find it, share it, own it. And don't be consumed with what other people are going to say because they don't get it. Yours is yours. Do you. And anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you, Lauren. I can talk for 5 hours. I know this. And I make videos all the time. Okay. Good night, loves. I will see you later. Peace out.